So the building that we're in right now, for those of you guys that don't know, is called the Trap Building. This building is fairly common, as you'll note. It's about as common as sinks as far as point rooms. Examples of this building, I suppose. It's at amp stations, but not really incredibly. Ceres Biotech, for example, with the squad waypoint, as you'll see it there. There's also Ceres Hydroponics, has the point on the balcony. Oh yeah, hold on. Change my point. I'll put it there. The point there is on the balcony. So this is a fairly common one as far as putting points down in these buildings. So it's something we need to learn how to defend fairly efficiently and fairly well. The majority of your defense, if you're going to be pinned down, is going to be on the second floor. It's split up into two rooms, primary and secondary side. So the way that you can tell the difference between primary and secondary is the primary side has this balcony on it that it branches off of the second floor. Also, if you run directly up the stairs from the primary side downstairs, which can be, you can tell because it has two doors on this one side down here. If you just keep on running up the stairs, and you just keep on running when you get on this floor, you'll directly reach the stairs running up to the roof. Secondary side, however, has neither of these features.
So make that left turn.
So you run up here, and then you actually have to turn to get up to the roof. There's no balcony up here. You also have to watch out these windows for light assaults. So if we are split up into fire teams, for example, a standard positioning would be putting defensive on primary side. We'll say that, well, on point side, but we'll assume the primary side is the point side. We put the defensive fire team here on primary side. We would put the aggressive fire team over here on the secondary side, because if the enemy is pushing up primary side to get to point, then what can happen is defensive holds while aggressive organizes a flank, moves down here, and they're directly behind the push now of the aggressors who are trying to take out the defensive fire team. So all that needs to happen here is that the defensive fire team needs to communicate to aggressive fire team, and then the squad leader can either order the aggressive fire team to go and flank, or the aggressive fire team leader, should there be one, can also organize a flank. The third fire team would be support,
I was
and
just
they
gonna
would...
give you an example real quick, if that's cool.
That's fine.
So it would sound like this, you know, Max coming up primary stair, secondary watch.
Right.
For a short example.
Right.
When you're going to flank, I would recommend not going down the stairs as often. You can use these windows here and the balcony itself. People aren't usually watching those. So if someone's flanking, let's say primary side, you can jump down the window on secondary and get right behind them.
Right, I'm just saying as an example for
Yeah.
a full fire team. If it was Havoc, you've got a different story. Usually with Havoc, you're running external flanks. These are internal flanks. So something in which we need the entire fire team to act swiftly while also being able to hold the defensive position on the secondary side, because if they run out those windows, the enemy is still free to come up through the secondary side on the bottom floor, and there's no defense on the secondary side. Whereas if you have this flank, you've still got guys on the secondary side picking off their medics and whatnot. So the third fire team support would be holding the balcony and watching the side. These are going to be your primary flanking force for the primary side defense.
User joined your channel.
So, should we have enough people? Should we have enough people to have our third fire team? What we would do is we would just use this balcony here. They would watch the side. They wouldn't necessarily be on here. They would, for the most part, be supporting the primary defensive fire team right here. Be supporting these guys right here, and should an attack come up this way, or should for some reason aggressive not be able to do anything, these guys can just directly jump off the balcony, come right behind the push, and now they're directly behind over this way from the balcony to hit whatever push is coming through right here. Alternatively, as Conflict was saying, you can have lots of Havoc can do quite a bit of damage. So you can run up these stairs and you can jump off the roof. However, now it's a little
Strategy
bit
sessions
different
are
with the
key.
fall damage that's actually been regulated and made a little bit more reasonable. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult should you have the fall damage, but for the most part, I'm able to deal with it at least. So you can do lots of external flanks. Should you have light assaults, you can try and counter any pushes they might have from the roof, but not. As far as positioning goes, for example, we've got
Oh, I lost him. There he is.
a heavy. Well, hold on. Split us into fire teams first. Just for example, fire teams. We have a lot of engineers, okay.
Just to reiterate, this is the trap
can
building,
switch.
correct?
This is called the
Yes.
trap.
Yes. Because it's a trap.
Okay. So let's throw us in the 3 fire teams quick. Okay, so in a standard split that we would do for this building, you would have defensive, which we'll call Alpha Squad for right now. So Alpha Squad is the defensive. They're going to be holding on this primary side here. Bravo, which we'll call aggressive, is going to be holding on secondary side. And Charlie, which we're going to call support, is going to be holding the balcony and also watching the roof. So, if you just want to get to your general areas, I'll point out how everything goes as we go along here. Alpha Squad would have heavies that would be watching these stairs, as well as one engineer who's got, well, exactly where DSX is, would be watching here to provide support fire should anybody breach these heavies. So instead of having all of our eggs in one basket right here with 3 guys here, 2 should be sufficient, whether it be 2 heavies or 1 heavy and a hot medic, depending on what the squad composition is at that time. DSX would have this turret right up here, and he would just throw down suppressive fire, taking off those picks, doing what he needs to do should anything get past these 2 players that are holding down a lane here. The heavy here that's running here should be a defensive heavy and should be running grenade bandolier with 4 concussion grenades in an ideal competitive setting. So should they see anything coming through this area right here, they can throw a concussion grenade down there right away, and then who's ever right here is going to be a little bit more aggressive and can take that pick and just cause as much permadeath as they can. A cold
And
medic
if
would be
you
over
get
here.
concussion, you reconcussion, right?
Right. The counter to a concussion grenade is another concussion grenade. So, should you be concussion, you know where the concussion came from, you throw another concussion grenade in that direction, now they're concussioned for slightly longer than your concussion, and they can't do anything about it. Also, if you guys didn't know this, if you get double concussioned, it actually screws with your controls. So,
Been there.
yeah. So
Yeah,
if you
like
get double
invert
concussion,
them.
it reverses all of your controls. So if you try and look left, you're going to end up looking right and whatnot. I think this also applies if you get directly with a concussion grenade, but I'm not sure. Might be something we have to test sometime. So if we take, so that's the gist of what's going on over here. As far as the cold medic goes, the cold medic would be watching the linchpin heavy right here. So this heavy right here is going to always be healed by a medic, and therefore does not need nano weave or anything like that.
This shit is so racist, man.
So Kitley would be basically making sure that Element stays alive at all times, and if anybody else in the group goes down, will probably expend a resnade should it be too far away, or if it's close by, can take a moment off of Element, telling Element that she's going somewhere else. So that's basically
Planetside?
everything for
Yeah.
the defensive
Going
fire
to
team.
training and
Aggressive
practice
fire
right
team in this building
A lot of tutorials,
Play a
yeah.
ranked game. See what's
over
up.
here would have a linchpin heavy here, a linchpin heavy here. Their engineer is going to be holding. Well, actually, that's going to be an aggressive heavy on that other side right there. But their engineer would be over here, where I'm at, with a mana turret set down right here. This way, they can cover, once again, the door here. Should anything get through, they can also cover this door here. both of the engineer's weaknesses are going to be the roof, which is why we need support or additional aggressives to be or somebody from aggressive fire team, maybe like a hot medic or something, to watch the roof. The aggressive fire team only currently at this time consists of hot medics for that support, so they'll be running, basically just making sure that everybody's healed, but they're still going to be shooting. So that's the gist of this side. This side is going to be the hardest for the enemy to get into. The thing that you're going to have to look for the most, and that's the person who's going to be on this turret's going to look for more than anybody breaching this side or this side, because those are going to be well defended by their players, is making sure that nobody is trying to take picks from these windows. So if a light assault comes up, they can mow them down immediately. This window here is a blind spot, and so it's going to take a pretty good angle from a light assault, but they can still do some damage, so you always have to be aware of that area. So if there's two heavies right here, and then you've got your hot medic, the hot medic might want to look the other way to watch these as well. Over here with support, you're going to want to have a heavy that's watching this side, a hot medic that's watching this side. You're also going to want to have a hot medic that is watching this up here for this turret. And then usually in support, if we're not running a Havoc, we'll be running an infiltrator or somebody who can fill that role of the external flanks. And if we are running Havoc, we'll still be running an infiltrator in support, except they're going to fulfill more of a close to the group role, in which they'd be throwing EMPs in conjunction with a conk grenade, for example, leaving the enemy doubly weak. So that's the gist of how the setup would go in this building.
Can
Does
I
that
add
make
a
sense?
side note for engineers here?
You may.
If you look at this wall where I'm standing right here, where I'm jumping, if you have your back to this wall and you deploy your turret against the stairs, can you guys clear it? So that I can deploy the turret.
Excellent, can you clear the stairs?
Yeah, basically where I'm standing right here. You see how the deployed the turret is deployed at a 45-degree angle? That gives me full coverage of the stairs, all the way to the left, the balcony, the center of the room, and even some up the stairs, about halfway up the stairs, to the balcony.
Pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can defend your flank a little bit, as well as the right side balcony. So just remember to stand against the wall at a 45-degree angle when you're deploying your turret, and put it right at the top stair.
Yep, sounds very good. Nice observation. Alright, so that covers the trap building. Next building that we're going to move on to, and this is probably going to be the shortest lesson of them all, is the hellhole. Because it only has one rule. And those of you guys who know what that rule is,
Don't be in the hellhole.
don't be in the
Well, there's a
hellhole.
point in there.
This is...
Wait, don't talk about hellhole?
No,
don't
be in the hellhole.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. We don't talk about it much either, but it's not quite a rule. Anyway. So, even in the case of there being a point in here, you only want to throw one fire team in the hellhole. Because one fire team can hold it pretty well by just hiding in the corners. Otherwise it gets too crowded, and then the enemy can just grenade spam you and flank you from wherever they want to. So, we'll assume for the purpose of... Hold on, actually this might work. Okay. So see how the trap is directly behind me? Just assume that this is a wall, and that we have... Well, not quite a wall, but like a hallway, kind of. That you can... This is safe. There's no enemies here. So what you can do is we can throw... say, aggressive into the hellhole. Defensive would linger behind right here, therefore neutralizing any chance of the enemy flanking from behind. So just by throwing defensive back here to cover these flanks, they can't flank from behind now. And then you would throw support, split evenly, to cover these corridors, or the sides there, so that they can't flank on either of the other two sides, and now aggressive. The only way that they can come in through effectively is where aggressive is already looking. The flanks are pretty easy, because it just consists of support flanking when their force moves in to take out aggressive, and then defensive backing up aggressive, while support flanks on either side and just wipes them. That's about all you need to learn about the hull. Is that